We all know that movie trailers have one purpose: to sell us on the idea of paying to see a movie. And since all is fair in war and advertising, movie trailers put their best, most exciting foot forward, no matter how much remixing is done to make them look amazing.
In super real 3D.
In the case of the films on this list, their trailers were much more interesting, entertaining, and in some cases moving than the actual full-length film. Here are epic trailers of disappointing movies.
Hang on to your seats.
Watchmen. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' acclaimed graphic novel Watchmen had been through so many failed movie attempts that for a long time it was deemed unfilmable. When the full-length trailer was released for Zack Snyder's adaptation in 2009, fans went wild over how the visuals looked like they were lifted right out of the comic book, while the haunting soundtrack perfectly captured the dark and bleak tone of the Watchmen story. Unfortunately, when Watchmen finally hit theaters, it was nearly 3 hours long, with some questionable performances, a jarring 80s pop song soundtrack, and a controversial change to the ending. Comic book fans learned the hard way that having the source material translated directly to the screen doesn't always result in a great comic book movie.
The world will look up and shout, "Save us," and I'll whisper, "No."
Cloverfield. A good mystery often draws people into the theater, and producer J.J. Abrams, writer Drew Goddard, and director Matt Reeves used a veil of mystery and a hint of epic peril to sell their 2008 found-footage monster movie, Cloverfield. It may be fair to look back and see this trailer as a cheap ploy that played off of post-9/11 fears, or a copy of another film on this list. But it worked. Cloverfield lured a lot of people into the drive-thru to see the monster show. Too bad the movie itself was also a painful lesson about why the found-footage movie format may not be the best trend Hollywood ever came up with.
Still filming?
Yeah. People are gonna want to know, how it all went down.
Terminator Salvation. Terminator Salvation was scrutinized from the moment it went into production, and the stories that surround it are still talked about today. That Christian Bale on-set rant, anyone?
Do you want me to go fucking trash your lights? Do you want me to fucking trash them? Then why are you trashing my scene?
But somehow, out of that storm of scrutiny, doubt, and uncertainty, emerged what is arguably one of the best blockbuster movie trailers ever cut together.
It is something we've never seen before.
From the darkly beautiful music, to the gritty futuristic world, thrilling action, and intriguing sci-fi concepts, this trailer did everything right in selling a new vision of the Terminator franchise. When Terminator Salvation finally hit theaters, it quickly became clear that the studio had loaded all of the best moments from the movie into the trailer. The full-length film was pretty forgettable, and ironically, the trailer, for all its epicness, spoils what is probably the best twist in the movie. So much hype for so little reward.
I'm the only hope you have.
Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. One of the biggest movie events of a generation happened when George Lucas announced that he would end the 20th century with the release of Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. The whole world was buzzing for the prequel story of how Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. And when the first trailer arrived, it seemed as though Lucas would deliver the magic all over again. The first trailer teased us with heroes, a fearsome villain, epic lightsaber duels, space battles, and an air of ominous mystery hanging over it all. Everything we could possibly want from a new Star Wars adventure. By now, debate over the Star Wars prequels has gone on so long that it's pointless to try and sway opinions one way or the other. However, one thing I think everyone can agree on: the Phantom Menace trailer in no way prepares you for the abomination that is Jar Jar Binks.
What is to become of Jar Jar Binks here?
He seemed to be punished.
Tron Legacy. The 1982 film Tron looks incredibly dated now, and its ideas about technology may seem even more dated. But at the time of its release, Tron's visual effects pushed the boundaries of film technology closer to what we see today. 20-something years later, we got our first look at Tron Legacy, and at first it seemed like the wait had been worth it. We had Jeff Bridges back as both his character from the original and as a younger, villainous program version of himself, and like so many other entries on this list, the musical score just elevated the footage to a whole new level. For all the hype built by the trailers, the actual film would turn out to be somewhat mundane, undercooked, and filled with clear signs of director Joseph Kosinski's inexperience.
Hey kiddo, lost track of time.
Pearl Harbor. Before Michael Bay ever put his hands on the Transformers franchise, he attempted to tell the story of one of the most tragic and heroic days in American history. A cast of stars like Cuba Gooding Jr., Ben Affleck, and Kate Beckinsale helped bring history to life, and when the Pearl Harbor teaser trailer hit, audiences were instantly moved by what they saw. Based on the trailer, people thought Pearl Harbor would be some kind of Oscar-worthy war drama. Instead, they got over 3 hours of Michael Bay's signature combination of overblown effects work and underdeveloped story. In the end, this was a failed ode to an important piece of US history. Godzilla. You could never prove it in court, but Cloverfield's successful teaser trailer seems all too similar to what the 1998 Godzilla trailer did. A normal, everyday event in New York City suddenly turns into a disaster-level event with the emergence of a large, but mostly unseen monster. Then again, it's a trick that worked twice, so why cry foul? Roland Emmerich's version of Godzilla stunk so bad that the Japanese creators of the character had his version of the monster officially reprinted under a different name, Zilla. If that doesn't say how bad this movie was, nothing will. Nonetheless, that teaser was so good that to this day we still can't walk by a New York City pier on a rainy day without looking at the water, wondering. Sucker Punch. It's not a coincidence that Zack Snyder appears on this list more than once. It seems that telling cinematic stories in the span of a trailer works out much better for him than sustaining a full-length movie. The trailer for 2011's Sucker Punch had 2 impeccable song choices, not to mention a whole lot of visual flair and gorgeous actresses kicking ass. In the end though, Snyder never really pulled his ideas for the film together well enough, and the result was a messy and even controversial reception.
Your fight for survival starts right now.
Iron Man 3. Fresh off the crazy success of 2012's The Avengers, the trailer for Marvel's Iron Man 3 looked great. The superhero action looked better than ever, there were Iron Man suits galore, and the iconic nemesis the Mandarin was being played by Oscar winner Ben Kingsley. Many expected this to be the Dark Knight of Iron Man films. But when the movie came out, the joke was on the fans. Tony Stark was on screen more than Iron Man, Kingsley's Mandarin was literally a joke character, and that gallery of Iron Man suits never really got their due. Even if you were in the camp that enjoyed it, Iron Man 3 just did not live up to the dark, brooding superhero action flick the trailer sold.
Critics are calling it absolutely terrible.
That's it for our list, but we're sure you have your own movies to suggest and opinions to share about the films we chose. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great lists, interviews, and news.